At Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family. You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a massive wave pool, a lazy river, and tons of water slides for your pack to enjoy together. And the fun doesn't stop there. Get ready to explore and play at adventure-packed attractions from Magi Quest, a live-action game that takes place throughout the lodge, to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. And the best part, with 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. I am so excited to visit Great Wolf Lodge with my nephew who's 6. He cannot wait for the water park. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Book your stay today at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the brilliant Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, buddy. How are you?
Today, we're talking about a topic that we see a lot actually in our balanced community, marriage. You know the Princess Bride, Bree? Yeah, marriage has brought us together today. Yeah.
Okay, fun fact for people in podcast land. My marriage to my current husband, a friend of ours is a ordained minister and she married us. You know this, but you weren't able to be there because it was COVID. We got married.
I wasn't invited. Let's just say that.
It was COVID.
I'm kidding.
We weren't allowed to.
I know. Kidding. I'm kidding. I'm giving you a hard time.
The whole point is we got married to the Princess Bride. We asked our friend to just recite that part of the movie, and she did. And it was like, do you? Yes. Do you? Yes. You're married. Okay.
You're married. All right.
Our family was there, like literally our immediate family, and they all just were kind of like, what? And only my sister Shanna figured out what we were doing.
Oh, and she was like, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah. Well, we're not talking about the beginning of marriage today.
No.
We're talking about right smack dab in the middle where maybe you're having the same argument over and over again and you just feel like you're not connecting with your partner anymore. We have someone to help you with that here today. It is April Eldemeyer, who is a licensed marriage and family therapist. She's a step family expert and founder of Couples Thrive, helping families create emotional safety, reduce conflict, and parent as a united team. She helps couples who feel stuck in power struggles, emotional disconnection, or constant misalignment, build trust, communicate better, and parent as a united team. April's work has been featured in Psychology Today and the Gottman Institute, and she's a mom to a 10-year-old son. So let's get on with the show. Welcome to the podcast, April. We are so excited to dig into all of your advice about helping relationships thrive, especially like when you're in a tough spot and you don't know how to move forward. And you said you're joining us from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
That's right. Hot and steamy Fort Lauderdale, Florida, even though it's August. It's so good to be here with you both. Thanks so much for having me.
That steaminess, that's what we can't take here in Arizona. This is a dry heat over here. We don't have this steamy, thank goodness. I don't know how you survive. Do you think like in temperatures like Fort Lauderdale, the steaminess, the stickiness, everything? I mean, I'm just thinking, amusing thought in my head. Do you see more relationship problems come up when the weather is really, really bad versus like when it's not steamy?
Well, it's kind of always hot and steamy pretty much all year round. So I don't think there's a correlation, but it definitely lends itself to more sexy wardrobes. So everybody is clad and not wearing much of anything. So,
well, that's how it is here too. I mean, in our summers out here, it's hot, it's dry. The less, the better. Right. You just stick to everything.
It definitely can get sweaty. Yeah. Well, April, I'm excited to have you here because we see in our Balance membership, a lot of our members do have these kind of tricky relationship issues where they really want to connect with their husband typically, and the guy isn't giving anything in return. Like it feels like a constant power struggle. It feels like they're constantly against each other. I'm sure you see this a lot. Do you recommend is the first place to start when that's your relationship dynamic?
Oh, this is such a good question. And it can be so frustrating for couples to go through. And I like to start off by saying that it's not a love problem. It's an alignment problem.
Oh, I like
So
that.
love is the spark, that starts the relationship, but the glue is in intentional alignment. And I mean, that boils down to lots of communication and intentionality, making sure that you're having the conversations that matter. A lot of couples stay stuck on bedtimes or household responsibilities or homework, and that's not really what the fight is about. So I love this topic because we go so much deeper with what's really going on between a couple's dynamic who feels like they're just struggling.
I was going to say, when you say that, that makes me think about, I feel like the best connection I can have to this was in my first marriage. So my husband and I got to a point where we just were basically like functioning roommates, and we weren't ever able to come out of it, which was that happened for whatever reasons. But I personally felt like I was giving, 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 and he wasn't doing anything. And I'm almost sure that he feels like I wasn't giving anything either. So I'm kind of curious, like, how do you even start that conversation with your partner when you feel like you're the one who's giving, right? And you said it's not a problem of love, it's a problem of alignment. But if you
Absolutely.
also view your position as I'm doing everything here, my partner
Mm.
is slacking. How do you even start to come to that point? Because I know whenever I did come to my ex-husband and be like, I do everything. You never, I hope you all appreciate my emotional thing I'm throwing in here with you. I'm doing everything. You're not doing anything. I'm feeling like I am just drowning and you're just weighing me down. That's not a good way to start a conversation. We never got anywhere with that.
Of course you didn't.
Right. So how do you approach this in a way if you are feeling wronged and slighted? In an open way with your partner of like, hey, are you feeling this too? Is it just me?
Absolutely. Yes. Okay. This is so great because I think it's about making the invisible visible. And as
Okay.
women, as moms, we carry a hidden mental load, right? So we're constantly
Yes.
thinking about the I shoulds, I shouldn'ts. Can I step in here? Will my partner back me up? Am I being supported? I shouldn't feel this way. It should feel different.
Mm-hmm.
Should.
There's
And
a lot of shoulds, a lot of
Oh,
shoulding on yourself. Yes.
that's right. And you're constantly second guessing yourself. So I like to say, bring that stuff out into the open. And usually what happens is we kind of store it up and it gets built up and we don't know the warning signs of when we actually need to come from a proactive place rather than the reactive. You don't support me, just like you said, Brie, right? Because
yeah.
of course that's
Yeah.
going to put your partner on the defense. So I say to just do an alignment check-in within yourself. And some of those warning signs are, what is the negative thought spiral that's going on in my head about my family, about how I'm showing up, about my partner, and making sure that you're aware of what those are and then naming it. Okay, I'm feeling resentful. I'm carrying the load here, or I'm feeling like we're not connected, or we just had another spat about, carrying the load of everything and it feels like it's not balanced. And when you can name it, then you can start to put action to it by being able to just talk about it. And how you talk about it matters. It's important. I like to tell couples to do an alignment ritual where you spend 5 or 10 minutes a few times a week where you're talking about everything, not just logistics and schedules and household stuff, but the temperature of your relationship too, so that you're working toward a securely attached and productive, happy, healthy relationship and communication style. So make it visible, get it out there.
I have to ask a question. What does it mean by a temperature check?
Yes.
And I also think too, like, I'm terrified putting myself out there and being like, I'm feeling disconnected. How about you? I always would feel like my partner would be afraid my partner would come back and be like, no, I'm fine.
Well, from what I'm hearing from you, April, firstly, coming up with just that clarity of yourself. So I know so many women carry that mental load of all of the things that they should be doing. And it's also a barrier because they think that they should have it under more control on themselves. So it's almost like there's a disconnect of what do I need to communicate versus what am I shaming myself for not being able to get done that should be under my control. I was
Right.
just talking with a woman yesterday who we did a course called Family Team for teaching how to bring the whole family into chores and making sure that everyone supports each other. And she brought up the concern that, oh my gosh, now I'm hearing this and I'm like, our kitchen is so disorganized and it's up to me to organize all of the things.
Yeah.
So my question for you, April, is like, she thought that that was completely her fault. And she wouldn't even know to communicate that to a spouse that she feels that is on her. So, what do you recommend women kind of tell themselves before they even start this conversation? Like, make that distinction between what is unlike needed shame versus what's something that can be shared.
Oh, I feel the weight of that as you describe it, being a mom myself and taking on some of that shame and the guilt of feeling like I have to do it all. And so, first, I want to say to moms, you can be a good mom and still have complicated feelings. You can be a good partner and still have complicated feelings. And what I'll say about the shame and the guilt factor that we often carry and think we have to do it all is that there's the helpful guilt and then there's the harmful guilt. The helpful guilt tells us, okay, maybe I, snapped at my partner and I need to go and do a repair attempt there. Or maybe I didn't volunteer at the school like I felt like I should have. And so the helpful one is motivating because it tells us that we're out of alignment with our value system. But we don't want to get into the rut of the harmful guilt or the shame that comes with that, where we're people pleasing or we're saying yes to everything, or we're feeling like our partner expects that we do all the things without co-parenting or having a shared role in the home environment. And so it's about role clarity too. Right.
Yeah. I think that's a big one. I think a lot of us, like when you're having those moments where you're feeling really resentful and feeling like you're holding it all, it is very quick to be like, I don't even feel like I have a co-parent. I feel like I am the one here and that my partner just gets to babysit once in a while.
Right. And that's not true. And it's not fair.
Yeah.
It's not fair because also our partners typically don't know that we're feeling this way.
Yes.
And so they can't take any steps to actually make the situation better. It's like all of a one-sided anger and the other side's like, I have no idea what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like, just tell me what to do where I'm not in trouble all the time.
Right. It's like it bottles up and then it spills over and then our partner's like a deer in headlights and they're like, I don't know how to just, navigate everything that you just gave me. So I would say that that's why the alignment stuff is really important because you're getting out the stuff that tends to build up. And I don't know about you, but as a woman, a mom, I need to release some of those things. I need to kind of dump it out before it gets too big and then it overtakes me and then it overtakes my relationships. And so I think that piece is really important. Now, the fear part, right? How do I even talk to my partner about this? How will they take it? First, you're not throwing them off of left field because it's structured. You sort of have it in the schedule of all the other things that you have to do. And it's also a ritual of structure too.
And I want to get to that really fast right after this, April, because it is like the perfect segue. So you're going to hear April's 4-part alignment ritual right after this. At Great Wolf Lodge, there's adventure for the whole family. You and your pack can splash away in the indoor water park where it's always 84 degrees. There's a massive wave pool, a lazy river, and tons of water slides for your pack to enjoy together. And the fun doesn't stop there. Get ready to explore and play at adventure-packed attractions from Magi Quest, a live-action game that takes place throughout the lodge, to the Northern Lights Arcade. There's also a bunch of great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. And the best part, with 23 lodges across the country, you're always only a short drive away from adventure. I am so excited to visit Great Wolf Lodge with my nephew who's 6. He cannot wait for the water park. So bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Book your stay today at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack.
Long gone are the days of waiting to be seen in a doctor's office only to have that awkward conversation with your healthcare provider. Wisp gives you access to sexual and reproductive healthcare from the comfort of your home. Get treatment for BV, yeast infections, UTIs, and much more delivered directly to your home or ready for pickup at your local pharmacy in less than 3 hours. The best part? Wisp is discreet, convenient, and you don't need medical insurance to receive care or prescription medication. Visit us today at hellowisp.com.
Let's be real, guys. Money fights are the worst. And trying to have a calm, civilized conversation about money, yeah. And don't even get me started on the feelings of shame and guilt that so many of us women feel around spending.
Oh, I know, but Monarch Money changes that. It takes out the unknown factors that can cause those fights and feelings. You can track shared and individual accounts, set goals together, and keep those money check-ins drama-free. And I love that you can even loop in a financial advisor or tax pro without paying any extra.
So no more guessing, hiding, fights, or just hoping it works out. Monarch Money makes it easier to be on the same page.
Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code NOGUILT at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code NOGUILT. So right before the break, April, you said that first we need to identify our hidden mental load and really recognize if we're experiencing that helpful guilt or that harmful guilt to figure out like what we need to share. And then to put action to it and do this like alignment check.
Yeah.
And you have a 4-part alignment check. Lead us through that.
Yes, it's the 4-part alignment ritual that every couple needs to have. So it's structured into your life. It's in your schedule, a few times a week, 5 to 10 minutes. And what you do is you celebrate one win. So something that went really well that the two of you were able to come together on, whether it was co-parenting or being there for each other in a time of need or picking up the kids when the other had to run an errand, whatever that is. And then you're talking about one misalignment. Where did you feel off? Where did you find yourself struggling? Where did you find yourself maybe needing help that you weren't getting or lacking the support that you really needed from your partner? And this is the time to say it like this. You know, I get really nervous around bedtimes. I feel like I take on a lot of the load of that, and I'd really like for us to do it together. Can we support each other in that?
Oh, that's so nice. I love how you said that.
Right?
Versus the what might happen when you're overwhelmed and be like, you never help me with bedtime. What are you doing staying in the bathroom for like an hour while I'm here putting the kids to bed?
Absolutely. Yes. And I'm raising my hand because I'm culprit number one in that. I can be so reactive sometimes, especially when the load is heavy. And so this is about structuring time to take the load off. So you're describing one misalignment, and then you're creating a repair attempt or something, one intentional way that you can repair that misalignment. And so maybe it's, okay, yeah, let's figure out bedtimes. Let me support you better. Let me tackle this while you do that. And then the last thing is to share an appreciation. Just make the end of it cohesive, like, this was a really great conversation. I really value you. I really appreciate you. You're a really good partner to me. And that's it. If you do that a few times a week, I think it does a few things. It sets the stage for your partner to be able to receive what's, sort of on your plate, all of that hidden load stuff. And then it makes the load lighter. So it becomes visible. And I think guilt, but also resentment grows in the dark.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got to bring it out in the open so that it doesn't take over and run the show.
I was going to say, I have 2 questions about what you just said. So essentially, I'm going to share a misalignment.
Mm-hmm.
And then does my partner get to share their misalignment? So then we're working on 2 things.
Of
during
course.
that time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Joanne, you might be going the same route with me. What if the misalignment feels really personal and below the belt?
Oh, like your partner says something that is, and they don't structure it. Because I was going to ask you, April, about the structure of the misalignment because you structured that so perfectly without defensiveness. So like going along with Bree's thing, like what happens when your partner comes to you and it stirs up all the defensiveness in you?
I'm trying to think, like a misalignment where it's just like, you're not doing what I need you to do.
Absolutely. Okay, so this is going to happen. You're only human. And sometimes it does get personal.
Yeah.
And so first, what I'll say is ruptures in relationships happen. But the repair is more important than the rupture. And so if you notice that coming on and there's tension, then you take a pause and you take a time out. You take a step back and you say, you know what? This isn't going the way that I'd like it to. let's try and rephrase what we're really trying to say here. And now let's go deeper into that, because usually the thing on the surface, the criticism or the thing that you're resentment about, is the protective part of what's really going on. And it's usually about a need or a longing that is not being met. It's something more vulnerable. It's the underbelly piece to all of the surface behaviors that we show our partner, whether it's shutting down or getting angry or silent treatment. Anger is hurt's bodyguard, and so is resentment, and so is criticism. So you want to get to more about what's happening underneath the surface. I'm feeling resentful because I always have to take on bedtimes. 5 times this week I took on bedtime. You might not say that, but at least you're getting to the resentful part, and then you're going deeper and saying, well, what's behind the resentment? Well, I'm feeling alone.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like I'm doing it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big underlining, I think, fear of a lot of us. Fear, frustration, however you want to say it, anger.
Absolutely.
I think that what you did, though, April, in the misalignment, that script you gave us where we're like, oh, that's so good. I think it is so complex to create something like that on the fly. And I was like thinking about the script you gave, and I think I see like the underbelly of like an I statement in there. But how do you recommend people structure this misalignment? What is a rule that people can kind of follow when they're thinking about this script?
This is great. Okay, so it is sort of like an I statement. So you want to focus on the situation. So when this happened, I felt, and here's why. And so it could look like, when I noticed bedtime each day this week was on me, I felt alone. I felt overwhelmed. I felt burdened because I've got a lot on my plate and I really need more support from you. So it changes things too, but there is a nice little script that you can follow too. If you're getting into your feelings, or let's say it does become personal, you can always reset and go back to, when this happened, I felt this way because this is the underlying part for me. That's so important.
That's a good format. That's a good structure.
Yeah.
What about if you're the one always doing all the things? How can you decide what problem you want to tackle first with your partner without overwhelming them?
Yes.
Because I know a lot of the moms have probably have this building for a while, and they probably have a very big list of things that they need to talk about.
That mental
How do they
checklist,
start?
man, it's a long one sometimes.
Oh my gosh, it is. It could go pages, couldn't it, girls? I mean, I could write pages upon pages of the things that I take on in my own life that I store up and that I do all on my own. And it's exhausting. So go with the predominant one, the one that sort of shoots up to the surface more prominently than the other ones. First, write them all down and then assess, okay, which ones are the patterns of my relationship? The patterns could be, I feel always alone in this area, or when this happens, I feel disconnected from my partner, or I feel like the bad guy in this scenario. And by the way, your co-partner in life is supposed to be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're writing things down too that's on their mind, because, hey, the guys store things up too, just like we can.
Right. I would think so.
They store things so much, and then guys aren't raised with the permission to be vulnerable. So I even think like it's harder on them than it is on us to express their own feelings. Not saying that they shouldn't. They should definitely, but keeping that in mind when we come to these relationship issues.
Absolutely. And that falls into kind of an emotional safety of the relationship piece, because I think guys are much more open about their feelings if they feel like there's a safe space to do it.
Right.
And a woman needs a guy's problem solving, proactive part of the system in order to kind of quell and calm some of our heightened emotions down. So it can actually be a nice balance, but the emotional safety piece is being able to know that you can show up at your best and your worst on any day with your loved ones, and they'll love you unconditionally, right? And that's what you're after in a relationship.
Yeah.
But that starts to wear down over time. And we start to feel like, well, if I'm resentful and I get really angry or I snap at my partner, they maybe will pull away from me. And then there'll be that feeling that I'm alone in this relationship. So that's where you can kind of attach the surface behavior to the actual feeling underneath. So to go back to what you were saying, write it all down.
Write it down.
And then start to see which ones are the predominant or the main feelings that you have in the relationship, and then start with those. And maybe it is 1 or 2 or 3 a week in those conversations, not all at once, but you're practicing, right? It's progress, not perfection.
Absolutely. And I have a question for you about a specific thing, how guys perceive women doing it all. And I want to get into it right after this.
If there's one thing I know as a parent and early educator, it's that kids crave structure, and not always the same kind for every kid. I had one who thrived in a back to basics setting and another who struggled every step of the way.
Yes, kids are different. That's where K-12 powered schools shine. They give your child a daily schedule, certified teachers, and tech-powered tools that keep them focused while letting them learn at their own pace in their own place.
And beyond those lessons, K-12 helps students build real-world skills and confidence. They have online clubs, social events, and learning experiences that are built around your student.
So join the more than 3 million families who have been served by K-12 and empower your student to reach their full potential now. Go to k12.com/ngm today to find a tuition-free K-12 powered school near you and enroll now. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/ngm. k12.com/ngm.
Taking on a DIY job around the house is the ultimate summer project. But if your DIY home security system is a beware of dog sign, when your real pet is Princess the cat, that's safe-ish. To be actually safe, help protect your home with a DIY system from ADT. It's easy to install and gives you virtual assistance from ADT's technical support team. Best of all, you can tell everyone in the neighborhood you set it up yourself. Don't settle for safe-ish this summer. DIY with ADT instead. Visit ADT.com to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
So I just came back from a lunch, April. It was me, my husband, and our financial advisor, who's a guy. And we were talking about, family dynamics. And he said something along the lines of like, his wife is the one who's always up and doing things, always like, there's a dirty dish on the table. She's going to go and pick it up. Like she's going to get up from relaxing, go and pick it up. If he is in charge of the dishes and decides he wants to go to bed and handle it in the morning, she's like, no, I can't have that. We need to have the dishes done tonight. And she will pick up and do the dishes. And so he said this phrase, which I found so curious, is he's like, on weekends, I ask her what to do. And then he had this, so that I won't get in trouble or feel bad when I sit down to watch football because she's like doing all of this other stuff. And so I kind of wanted to get your perception of also our behavior of tending to overfunction a little bit and do all the things and take on all the things, and how our partners might be feeling a little like, I don't know what to do in this situation.
Yeah, I don't know my role here, right? I'm walking on eggshells a little bit. I hear that a lot
I
of
was
the
going to
time.
say, that sounds so relatable right there.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's just a piece of misalignment. It's just an area where a couple or the relationship is misaligned. And I think that there's also when we talk about sort of alignment, having a shared culture and a shared system of how you function as a couple, but also as you parent, and then role clarity. I think it's the misconception is that everything has to be fair and equal across the board. And I don't subscribe to that. I think that you have to play to each other's strengths. And by the way, I love the guy's question. I think that's such a great, vulnerable question to ask. Like, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah.
And is it okay if I, sit back? I think that a woman just wants to hear that. Like, that they're seen.
If I just had like once in a while with my ex, I will say that's the one thing that's lovely about a second marriage. You figured out what not to do. The first one, I would have loved to have had like there be a question of like, from my spouse to say, I really want to do XYZ this weekend.
Mhm.
What do you need from me so that I can go and do that and you not feel left alone, whatever? That would have been fantastic. And instead, what I often got was just, I'm going to go do this. Well, what about me? Well, you have to watch the kids.
Right.
So,
Well, I also think that it's kind of a transition step to where we want to be, because there is a fair amount of mental load. And while that question I think is great, I also think that there could be steps in the relationship and in all relationships so that the mental load is shared, so that both partners see, okay, well, here's what I need to do versus asking, what do I need to do? Because I know that that is a frustration for so many women, having to carry all of it in their heads and
It
just have
is.
their spouses ask them.
Oh, I just had this in my office with a couple this past week. The mom has 3 kids and they were in a rush, and she wanted him to just read the room. And he went up and she was washing a dish and he's like, "Here, I'll wash that dish for you." And she completely blew up at him. And what we were processing in our session was the fact that she wanted him to see what to do, to just read the room and take over without her having to feel like she's parenting a 4th child. And that's how
Yeah.
it felt for her. She was already overwhelmed. And then the husband comes in and either says, "Let me do that," or "Tell me what to do." And she's like, "I don't want to have to tell you what to do. You're not a child. You're my partner." So
Yeah.
that's why I love these kind of sidebar, these huddle conversations before the game. So you're preparing before life actually hits. And that's where you're defining your roles. So as a mom, if I'm the one that cleans the kitchen because maybe I do it better, then before dad gets to sit on the couch and watch the game, he's putting the kids to bed or he's packing the lunches and getting things ready for the next day. So you're doing this together, but you're also, again, playing to each other's strength. You're doing the stuff that you know you do well or better than the other person, and they are equally doing that, their share. But that is
That's defining their roles. That is so important. Like when I had like a little breakdown with my husband a few years ago, and I was just crying on the couch on Christmas. And that was when we started like defining roles and figuring out like how to help each other out more, because I was taking on everything. And so we have these roles during dinner. Whoever cooks the dinner, the other one leads the cleanup of the dinner. And it took me a long time for when I cooked the dinner to actually let my husband take over and do cleaning. Like I was the one asking the questions, is it okay if I sit down here on the couch while you clean? And he would look at me and he's like, yeah, of course it is. But it's a really hard transition too to make when you're used to defining your value and your worth as what you do.
That is so hard because you've got those hidden expectations of yourself that sometimes you can't let go, right? I should be doing more. I should be doing all the things, or I should be doing what other people may expect of me. And that may or may not be true. It might be true for you, but you also don't want to burn yourself out and then again have some resentment or the guilt start to take over your life either. I love that you can have that conversation with him. It took some of the load off, right? Like it was kind of like, oh, I have permission to sit down and relax for a few minutes. Thank you. I need that.
I was almost mad though at myself that I needed the permission.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where like you're in this cycle where you see what your mom did, you see what all your friends do, you see everyone just spent, and you're like, that is what I have to do, even though I am feeling like a complete shell of a person and burnt out. And I think so many people feel that way.
We do. It's hard. I mean, I think mom guilt is a universal experience, and all of the shoulds, should nots live in our head constantly. And I mean, I think we need to see ourselves first, and then we also need to be seen by other people. That's really important. So see yourself first and give yourself what you need. And then it's so great if a partner can say, "Hey, I see you too." That's secondary, but first it starts with you.
That is what we all want.
It's
we
so
all
crazy.
Want our partner to see us too.
It seems like it's so simple. And honestly, April, I've been sitting here chewing on a lot of what you're saying. And I'm like, well, it follows a lot of what we tell parents of like working with our kids, right? Like, don't have those deep problem solving conversations when everybody's upset and mad.
Yeah.
Checking in, letting people know, like with the I statements, I feel when this happens, and then asking for the problem solving idea together. I love all of that. that all seems so natural. And I just wonder why so many of us, especially women, we get it doing that for our kids, but we get stuck not realizing we should do that with our spouses or our
Yeah.
partners.
Hmm.
I'm kind of wondering just why we get stuck there with our partners. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we just expect them to naturally know everything. I'm not
Maybe.
sure.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
different expectations.
It wasn't modeled for us.
Yes, relying on them differently than we would on our kids, right? Our kids rely on us, but when we're in a relationship, we do have some reliance or dependence on our partner. So we make assumptions in our head around how they should think about us or what
Yeah.
they should be seeing about what we're going through. It's different. It is different. And I think that you've got to approach it, though, kind of similarly, different scripts maybe for children and adults, but you've got your own
Yes,
regulation
definitely.
system and you're also co-regulating with your kids and with your partner all the time.
You have to
So-
make sure your mindset's in the right place, right? Because like if you come at it and you're like, okay, I'm going to talk to him just like I do with my kids. Okay, well, right there, you're already coming
like, no.
in.
No.
You're already coming in hot.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah,
Come in.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
discipline hour.
Yeah. So you recommend that if couples are having the same fight over and over again, first getting that clarity on what you're feeling. Second, doing that alignment and having that 4-part alignment ritual to get more on the same page and defining roles. Is there anything else that we didn't ask about that's important in this process?
I think it's also about finding time to connect within your relationship too, not just about the logistics, but that you're also spending time to flourish and really grow your the relationship aspect. And that might be alongside the ritual, you're also having a ritual of connection. So it's not just about alignment and communication, but you're doing something shared. I think that's what really gets couples going the long haul. You've got your foundation, but then how do you keep it going for the long haul? And I think it's about a shared ritual system or shared hobby or something that you can do together. So I urge couples in the busy modern day life that we've got going, we've got to slow down and spend a little bit of time, whether it's coffee in the morning or a Sunday sink or a walk a few times a week, that you're doing something together and that it's just the two of you.
I love that.
I love that advice.
We're both like, I love that.
Absolutely.
That is fantastic.
Well, April, we like to end each episode with a look toward the future. So what are you excited about that's going on in your life?
Well, as you mentioned in my intro, I'm a mom to a 10-and-a-half-year-old son. And so one of the things that's exciting for me coming up is that we are planning a trip to Japan. He is all into Japan. He's a big foodie. And so he wants to go and try all the Japan things. And we haven't booked anything yet, but we're knee deep in YouTube videos and travel plans and Chat GPT stuff. So that's probably coming up in the next year. Yep, we're saving for that. And then I would say the other thing
That's
is
exciting.
the doors are open for my blended family alignment blueprint. It's for blended families who are struggling to find peace in their home, but it's also for couples too, because we talk about the alignment ritual and role clarity and shared parenting responsibility and emotional safety and repair systems. So that launches in just a few weeks, and it's an online course that couples can go through at their own pace and get a lot of good practical tools from.
April, I think we're going to have you back to talk about the blended families. I mean, I get you on that one. I thought we had ours all figured out and it was a little bumpy.
I would love that.
So yeah.
Happy to come back anytime.
Well, thank you, April, for joining us and all of this great tips that you've given us for getting through those relationship bumps. And remember that the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk with you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You can also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.